players, outstanding players, and so now it's done in here, so I gotta try to remember who they told me to give them to. But they said the Barry player. All right. The second player on the first tune, solo. That was you. Thank you. Okay. Drummer. And guitar. And this is the first of the day. It might be the first of ever. It's an outstanding director award. Ron was so outstanding, he deserves a medal.
Good job, guys.
Okay. Thanks for coming this afternoon. I appreciated listening to you. I think the last time I heard you was it at
Wood Creek?
Wood Creek. Okay. And I don't really remember too good anymore, like what happened yesterday, but the group sounds really, really good. The group's really, really good. Stop complaining. They're doing really well. Okay. Ron and I go back 100 years. We've been alive longer than that. So we know each other's styles really, really well. I knew what to expect out of the group as in terms of stylistic stuff. Okay. A lot of the comments I'm going to make, he tells you all the time anyway. Okay. So listen to him. Listen to him. I know that you come into rehearsal and you're all like, okay, what wisdom is he going to give us today? Because he's so full of wisdom. Okay, so on the first tune, and this is really, these comments are a lot really the same throughout. It doesn't matter the tune, because the musical stuff is all the same. Just generally speaking, it's really hard to hear the solos, because the room is so loud. The bass was good, really good, because all morning the bass of all bands were just buried in the band. Okay, did you get intel on that or something? Did anybody tell you anything?
That's why I got the medal.
Usually Ron is scoping everything out ahead of time, making sure he knows everything before you go in. Okay, but no, it was good. It was really good as far as the balance. It's just hard because there's really no microphones. There's one up front, but I don't think the kid in the booth is doing anything with it. So it's kind of hard to hear the soloists, unfortunately. We have to really struggle to hear you. Let's see. On Tiger of San Pedro, you got that line, right? Right. It almost sounds like da 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 da. You gotta really over-articulate that.
You know, and this is a modified version from the original, so there are some rhythms that are not, that you would have, if you've known that tune for years and years and years.
Right, I'm expecting to hear all of that.
Right, yeah.
Okay, well,
like
oh, okay, well, that explains that. Because, yeah, there's a lot of quick tonguing in that. But on another note, with that though, on the whole note, people, come down a little bit so we can hear that line coming through a little bit more. Okay, so we can hear that line coming through just a little bit more. The piano groove, is that in the chart, or did you add that?
We added
sort of a Montuno thing
He
going
made
on?
that up. I gave him the ballpark. He did it himself.
Okay, yeah, that was great. Just make sure that the groove is. It just sounded. Where's the piano? Just sounded a little bit rushed, like, okay, here comes my part. So just try to lay back a little bit. It's hard because it's a fast tune, but ultimately you want the groove to be good all the way through, right? So it just sounds like it's easy. It's got to just sound like it's easy. It's a piece of cake. Anybody can do this, So it sounded really good. Just a little nitpicky with the groove on that, okay? But I liked that. That was good. That was a good addition. Balance more with the lead trumpet. Is that Do I want to hear more lead trumpet? Is that what I'm saying?
Maybe. What are you talking about?
Toward the end of Tiger.
Yeah, probably when it changes key there, and then the trumpets have the lead, you may want to hear more there.
Yeah. The band's blowing. Rhythm section's cooking. So it's going to take a lot of energy. You know, it's going to take a lot of energy. I don't know how much we talked about stuff when I came over and we did that little sectional.
Yeah.
Did I talk about how much air and blowing?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
You,
Yeah. We were in the chemistry lab.
He would have said something about air, because that's kind of, he's full, he would have known.
It takes a lot of air because, see, the problem is a lot of these bone players, they think they're lead.
They are.
And they're not. The trumpet player is the lead. So you're going to blow over them. No matter what they try to do, you just make sure you save enough to just go over the top. Okay? So basically, I just have the second guy play the whole chart, and I just come in at the very end, so I can say no. But seriously, just try to pace yourselves. You know, the brass players have to deal with this all the time. You got to pace yourself to make sure you have enough gas that if it's a real big shout chorus and ending, that you have enough to make it all the way through. You know, and it'd be better if you had 4 guys too, but you just have what you have, and you got to make it work. So yeah, so just be careful, the whole band, be careful of the balance, because you want to play up to the lead player, but you don't want to cover them up. That would be a bad thing. On the ballad, well, it started off as a ballad, right? The trumpet solo on the second tune.
Yes.
You're playing exactly what's written.
But I laid back a little bit, pretty much
Okay.
what was on page, yeah.
You know, within reason, you could take some more liberties with it. Within reason and with the proper authorization. You could, you know, just free it up a little bit. It sounded, you know, almost classical in style in terms of how, you know, regimented it was. So go ahead and loosen up and play around with it a little bit more, you know, just so you can make it more your own, you know. Any questions about anything so far? Okay. You know, really good control overall with the dynamics. You know, you're watching like crazy. You're watching when he's giving you the signals, you're doing it, okay? Which a lot of bands aren't doing that today. You know, the director is saying, well, it's a jazz band, so I'm not supposed to direct them, and they stand on the side, and then we're getting the same volume throughout the whole set, and it ends up getting boring, you know? So you're watching like crazy with the dynamics, and you're following them, that's great. Later on the last tune, I was kind of asking, can you do more if he's not indicating something? Like, whenever you got a sustained part, there's usually something else going on underneath, generally speaking. Same with a concert band. You know, you got a sustained part, you may have had a melody line, and then like the last 2 bars in the melody, well, similar to Tiger. There's something else going on. So, as a general rule, we'll usually accent the note, if it's a sustained note, come off of it, and then grow through it a little bit, okay? So you can do more of that kind of stuff throughout, in addition to whatever regular dynamic markings are indicated or that Mr. Cunha is doing, all right? 2 things on articulation and style. Sometimes, or they kind of go hand in hand. Sometimes it sounds a little choppy. You know, the articulations don't sound as smooth, like maybe too much tonguing, or maybe too much slurring, like some of the solis that you guys had. Some of them sounded a little rushed in areas. Are you slurring through everything, or are you still with me? Okay, we'll cut to the chase. You know, like bebop tonguing and slurring could clean up some of your lines. Some of the lines aren't real clean, okay? And so if you can all agree, we're going to go ba-da-da-doo-dot, ba-da-da-doo-dot, instead of ba-da-da-dot, ba-da-da, could help clean things up, okay? So the lead alto can say, all right, and you really gotta get specific. You know, when you get old and you do it a lot, it starts coming more natural from experience, but you gotta pinpoint, I'm tonguing here, here, and here. I'm slurring to this, but and then when everybody does that, knows exactly where it's happening, then it gets really tight, okay? You may have, gone over some of that stuff, but, and that goes to the whole band too. As long as everybody knows exactly where the cutoffs are, where you're tonguing, where you're slurring. I mean, we do that sometimes too, when we have the luxury of a rehearsal. We'll look at each other, and, hey, you cut this off here, you tonguing that, so that we're all on the same page, and then the band sounds really tight. That really makes a big difference on how clean the lines are out front, for the audience. Okay, any questions about that? Places the tongue, slur, that'll refine things. And the blues at the end has really good transitions. You really hold it together, it's nice. Yeah, it's good to have him, huh? Sometimes. No, you're playing is really nice. When you're playing, it sounds like if I was playing in the band, which is that I'm not worried about any of these entrances. I just feel like they're right there. The whole rhythm section, it just feels like it's right there. So, which is very comforting to a horn player, because there were some other instances today where, like I talked about that little bit of rushing, where a bass player had a solo line, then the Barry came in, matching the bass player, then the piano came in, then the band came in, and he just screwed up the line a little bit. And the Barry player, you could see her, she's like, kind of listening, trying to figure out exactly where to come in. Those are the kind of things I'm talking about for horn players. When the rhythm section has got, the groove is right there, man, it's so nice because you can play with a lot more confidence, right? You guys play with a lot more confidence because the rhythm section's so good, and you compliment them all the time, right? Because I know Mr. Clooney's whole approach to everything is positive praise. Positive praise. Rush, talk about that, talk about lines. There's a sax solo going on at the end on the last tune, the blues tune, where I would have liked to hear the bass do a little bit more. I'm going to say a little bit more on 2 and 4 to help the swing pattern. But when I say that, it's with reservation. It's not like forever. Boom, 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 boom. Vary it up some, but just to help out with the groove and the swing pattern a little bit more. Also, okay, that was pretty much everything on the list. I didn't read what the guys wrote, but I don't know why they write those anyway, because they're recording them.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see what they heard, what they thought. Any comments from you guys? Questions? What'd you think about the room?
Too small.
Kind of small.
It's a pretty small room.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small room, and it's very loud on the stages. It's a loud stage.
It's almost like you have to compromise your performance so you fit the room. 'Cause I knew we were going to be really loud. I knew he was going to be really loud. I could hear the rim shot on the snare in the first.
Yeah, but it wasn't blowing everything away like some of the other bands were.
We were reserved. We were staying reserved for
Yeah.
make that happen. So.
It's hard. I was using because some of the bands that did get a little softer, that did try to adjust to the room, as soon as they got softer, energy went out the window. Energy went out the window. And so the tune that I was referencing is the Bob Florence tune, Bebop Charlie, because that's a tune where it's light but burning. So you got to play it with a lot of energy, but you don't overblow. You're just sailing along. And that's one of the hardest things to do, play, back off a little bit for the room because of the room you're in, but not compromise your energy and your, like attacking notes, still articulating and accenting things, and your sforzam, you know, your SFPs, but within reason to the room, you know. So it's a unique way of doing things. So, but good performance, really like listening to you. Band's gotten a lot better quick. It's gotten a lot better quick. Must be all of that praise.
Hey, you guys are pretty good today.
Whoa, hey, that's all. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Russo.
Thanks for coming.